Hi, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of Silent Generation. I'm Nathan,
I'm Joseph.
and today we're going to be talking about men's fragrances. So this topic was suggested by our sole Canadian Discord member, Riz Wells. She said, been getting a lot of fragrance content recommended to me on socials. Apparently some people are really into them though, like going on fragnetica.com for fun and dousing themselves in multiple scents a day. And I think this is a good topic for us because basically any episode we do that starts with the word men's does really well.
Yeah, no, we're serving an underserved market there.
Yeah. And for me, I actually didn't know very much about fragrances before this week. It was definitely a learning opportunity. I think you came into this with a bit more knowledge.
Just a little bit, just enough to be dangerous. I was not like a fragrance head, but I kind of accrue fragrances over my life. And I had one ex set me up with 10 samples, and that sent me in all these different directions fragrance wise. So yeah.
Yeah. Because I brought the 2 that I now own with me this week, and then you brought out 4 for me.
Yeah, we didn't write all of them down, but yeah, we'll have a little smell test here. We also ground some coffee to serve as a palate cleanser in between. This feels like the closest we're doing to becoming a content creator of something that we're doing. We're not making fragrance content exactly, but we're getting dangerously close.
Yeah, it'll be our first time smelling each other's scents.
It's true.
But yeah, so you have 4 here. Are there others you didn't bring out?
Oh yeah. No, tucked away I have, I guess, a small collection. Some of them are the tiniest samples you can get, I believe, from Scent Split or
Scentbird, you called it?
Scent Split.
Oh, okay.
That's a different website. But you can get the tiniest little droplets of stuff. But yeah, Gent Z James gave me some fragrances from Scent Bird, which has a great business model where they make small decanters of stuff that have a plastic shell that's removable and magnetic, so you can travel with fragrances a lot easier. I'm sure they're very overvalued and flush with VC capital.
Yeah. So to start out, why wear fragrances as a man and why be into them? I think the place to start is really the idea of sex sells, because I think fragrances are marketed to men initially at a very impressionable age when they're both convinced that their bodies are putrid and they're convinced that fragrances will help them attract the opposite sex.
Yeah, no, it's a very easy thing to sell. It kind of reminds me of there were these catalogs in the 1950s that targeted at boys to sell them if you drink this you'll become a muscle man, and or x-ray glasses to see through girls' clothes and stuff. Yeah, and it feels like the last thing we have from that era is selling cologne to boys that's going to turn them from 0 to hero overnight, essentially.
I remember seeing actual ads for products like those that were in Boy Scout magazines. Did you ever get those?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember seeing this one that seemed cool where it was basically a quote-unquote hoverboard where they'd give you a bunch of vacuum components to then assemble. I was really doubtful of that one.
Yeah, that's a classic overpromise. That is good. Wow. That's X-ray specs.
Yeah. But yeah, fragrances, as you know, I'll sort of get through in the beginning of this episode, have never really appealed to me that much. I think it's partly because I'm not attracted to the opposite sex and I think guys smell good. And so these initial advertisements, say from Axe and Old Spice, never really spoke to me.
Yeah, Axe and Old Spice, we're only coming out of that era now, it feels. I mean, I feel Axe got, thrashed by public perception earlier than Old Spice. But yeah, I don't know exactly when it formed, maybe mid-2000s on, but just this cultural in-joke of just, ha ha ha, boys smell bad, and when they don't smell like BO, they smell like Axe, which is maybe worse.
Yeah. I remember there was this period, though, where in schools throughout the country, you would walk down the hallway and you just smell like Axe body spray. Mm-hmm. We talked about Axe a bit on McBling, so we don't need to tread water, but their advertisements were extreme to the degree that each commercial would be a guy spraying Axe on themselves and then a literal crowd of women would come onto them.
Yeah. And it's funny, England went through the same thing, but Axe couldn't get that copyright over there, so it's called Lynx, but it's the same product and everything. So we share that with them.
And then I learned from you this week about Teen Spirit, which was an early teen deodorant brand.
Yeah, it's it only lives on nowadays through Smells Like Teen Spirit by Nirvana. Is it still sold?
There's still one product. It's called Pink Crush. So it only comes out in one scent. You can still buy it from Amazon.com. But yeah, both the song and the deodorant brand came out in 1991. So Kurt Cobain, whoever wrote Smells Like Teen Spirit, they heard about this and then wrote about it within a couple of
Yeah,
months, which is kind of weird.
That's so strange. That doesn't track with my understanding of the speed of cultural transmission in the 90s. Like, it would take longer than that for it to become a joke.
Yeah. But I like that the name of the scent is like Pink Crush. It's so ephemeral.
Yeah, it's the Yankee Candle levels of abstraction thing. Yeah, what do you like? It's something pink, you cannot smell that, and then crush, like abstract.
Yeah. I mean, I imagine it being sweet, but I can't imagine anything beyond that.
Yeah. But yeah, like this era of teenage and tween boys smelling like Axe body spray is apparently coming to an end because they're all into smell maxing now.
Yeah.
Which I don't want to like give too much of a home to like just like boring incel terminology of just adding maxing to everything. But smell maxing does have a Wikipedia page. It's not very well written and it's mostly just plagiarized from not great sources. But I don't know, there's a New York Times article about it, so there you go. But yeah, like basically boys are getting super into fragrance right now. And like niche designer scents as well. Like not just like the typical stuff like maybe you get as a gift at Christmas or something, but like they're diving deep into it because there's a whole content world that we'll describe later.
Yeah, the Wikipedia page talks about how schools right now are having to ban boys from bringing fragrances to school because the bottles will break in their backpacks and get, all over the place. And the Wikipedia page, it describes it as using fragrances to enhance their body odor. That's just like a really complex way to say it just makes you smell good.
Yeah. What? Yeah. That's like, they're overcomplicating that. Like, okay, that doesn't define smell max. I think smell maxing is when you do it like, I think aggressively as a young boy, basically. But they just described why everyone wears fragrance.
Yeah. I feel like for it to be like maxing in the incel way, if this was like young boys bioengineering their body's flora and fauna in order to naturally smell good, that's what I imagine when I hear smell maxing, not just putting on expensive cologne.
I would picture the maxing part of it as being like doing a study of like what things are objectively going to get you women for the least amount of money. I think that would be like, I guess that's smell min-maxing actually, where you're trying to like, pursue efficiency. But yeah.
Yeah. Sex sells, it's not just for like straight men too, though, because I found this personal care brand this week through my research. It's called Studio Ready. I'll link it in the show notes, and it's very not safe for work. The guys are naked. You can't see genitals, but it's like getting pretty close. And it reminds me of like American Apparel in its early days when they do ads where it would be for scarves or gloves, and then the model would just be wearing that one garment, where it's like, okay, if you're not trying to sell the other parts of the wardrobe, why like have the model wear them? With this, it's like these guys are just trying to sell scents, through these ads. So they're just stripped down to nothing.
It's I don't know, it's a little disheartening because I feel like fragrances are something that can be shared between both gay and straight men. Like we can both have the same fragrances and just like we're seeking different audiences. But then, so I wanted to go make the gay fragrance.
Yeah. I think another reason too, though, to wear fragrances is because memories are tied to scents, or the memories tied to scents are usually the strongest. So I imagine someone who's really into fragrances, as they transition from fragrance to fragrance over the years, when they go back and smell an old one, it will be tied to key memories and remind them of certain people and places.
Oh yeah, no, it's the greatest way to jog your memory. I'm trying to think if I've had any like moments where like I get hit by a scent and it brings me all the way back. But
I have that with lavender soap because my dad's girlfriend, while I was in high school, had like lavender soap in her bathroom. It was from L'Occitane. And so anytime I smell anything that smells like that, I get brought back immediately.
Oh, man. I think recently I smelled something that smelled like I was a child back in Germany again. Just very briefly. It was like grilled meats or something. I don't know. Like it's just,
kebabs.
Yeah, kebab smell, yeah. Yeah, and another reason I think to wear fragrance is it's just kind of like the icing on the cake of like grooming and self-presentation. Like if you're going to put work into like your physique, the clothes you wear, and like your personal grooming, like the last thing is like, I think all that goes out the window if you smell bad, like it's just what do you do all that work for and stuff. And so it's just like, it feels like a thing to square away. Maybe not the most romantic reason to do it, like out of, I guess, duty, but
yeah. But it can also kind of be cheating. It's like that meme where it's like, some people need to like wear fragrances that match their face. You got me turning around to nonsense.
That's true. Yeah, you can definitely punch above your weight with that. Yeah, if you just like drop money on a great fragrance.
And then I'll counter you. So I think there are some reasons to not wear fragrances as a man.
All right.
The big one I've already kind of talked about, because on Malls briefly for about 2 minutes, we brought up Briswell's suggestion. and we talked about, or I brought up how like some people have fragrance sensitivity and you shouldn't wear scents because it can cause them to get migraines or pass out. But you were a bit doubtful. So I shared an article with you from The Guardian.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I believe that these people have like these sensitivities, but I think I just want them to admit that it is the product of a modern, like, I'm going to sound very like, I don't know, I don't know what I'm going to sound like, so I'm just going to say it. But it's a product of a wealthy and modern society that we can allow people to have sensitivities like this, because in any part of the developing world, you're going to be subject to smells you would not like to smell, and you don't get to say anything about it. Like, it's just a fact of life. And it's, I think when we create like a more and more kind of like structured modern world where everything has been like contained and controlled and cleaned, that then we can afford to say that like smells make us uncomfortable.
Yeah. I mean, I'm more inclined to just believe it's a real problem in these people's lives, in part because, you know, I have visual snow syndrome, which people could easily believe that's made up. I see static at all times and after images. I cannot prove to other people that I'm seeing static 24/7. And anyway, it's like when people describe themselves having health issues, I'm more inclined to believe it on paper.
I guess I'm just more inclined to be a skeptic. I don't want to say that about myself. No, I believe people broadly.
Yeah. But I think it's easy to imagine people getting a headache from like harsh chemicals, because there are some chemicals, not the ones put in fragrances, but they cause people to pass out. You know, like the ones in chemistry class where the teacher will tell you not to smell it.
Yeah, just waft it, don't smell it.
Yeah. So those exist.
Yeah. I guess maybe something about being on construction sites, and there's like, we have crazy strong smells sometimes. Whenever they install countertops, the epoxies they use to join them, like, it smells so bad, it kind of smells good. Do you enjoy the smell of gasoline?
Yeah. I had a grandfather who is a model maker for Sears. He had a little workshop in the basement, and there were certain like smells of like grease and oil and like paint strippers. Like, I love those smells.
Yeah. Maybe that's why I just think that I can like handle any smells, because I'm like primed for inhalant abuse or something. I'm not going to do that.
Yeah. But yeah, regardless of if you or other people have fragrance sensitivity, artificial scents, they may or may not have hormone disrupting chemicals or carcinogens in them. So like, I prefer to get fragrance-free products most of the time, like for hand soap or for laundry detergent.
Oh, I guess I do that, but I'm like, yeah, I want fragrance-free there because I might like wear cologne later. I don't want to like start mixing things. We'd mentioned at the top of the episode people who like wear multiple scents and like layer them and stuff. And that sounds crazy to me. I've never even reached for that. Like, I've never even like one night out just like, well, let's try two fragrances. But yeah.
And then another reason not to wear fragrances as a man is the idea that men should smell like men. There are a lot of people who think like that, either because they think fragrances are feminine, aka gay, or because they just think men naturally smell good. I'm kind of in the later camp.
Mm-hmm. No, I mean, I've heard that from girls too as well. It's just like, oh, like, what are you wearing? Like, oh, I'm not wearing anything. It's like, oh my God. Yeah. Like, so there is like a natural smell to guys. Yeah.
Yeah. Because fragrances, in theory, they're supposed to make you sort of, it makes you elevated in terms of attractiveness to other people. I've had it happen where there are guys that I'm like not interested in, and then I smell them and I'm like, whoa.
Really? That's literally the promise of fragrance. Yeah.
But that was just their body odor.
Oh yeah. No,
but I was like really impressed with it. Anyway.
Impressed. I like impressed. That's a good word.
Wow. But yeah. But it's not just me as like a gay guy either. Like, I have a friend who's a celebrity hairdresser in LA who has like pretty famous clients. Like, she's done the hair of the girlfriends of billionaires, like people like that. And she's read books on elegance. She has a very high standard of beauty for herself. But I was telling her once that I don't really wear deodorant, which I don't. I'll get to that later. But she was like, you shouldn't. You're a man. So it's not just me.
Oh, wow. Interesting. Yeah. And as someone whose life is grooming, and celebrities too, just towing a hard line like that. But yeah. All right, man, I got to know. Why don't you wear deodorant? Like, you didn't answer it in the docket. Like, I'm supposed to hear it live.
Okay, well, it's because of the carcinogens thing. It's also because deodorants often have aluminum, so they're toxic. It's also because I think the problem is largely sweat. So if you just regulate yourself not to sweat, I think the problem is more or less eliminated.
I disagree.
You
I'm
disagree?
trying to think. I guess I have 3 points to address there. I guess I am coming from a different angle where I'm just like, I am terrified of sweating. This is a psycho thing I'm about to admit here, but I think they say, like, you know, Buddhist monks can control their body temperature and stuff. I can't do that, but I think I can, to a certain degree, hold myself back from sweating to a point.
Yeah.
But it's not out of like active for it. It's out of like fear of sweating.
Yeah.
'Cause I just don't want to be seen as like, dirty or smelly in any way.
I don't like sweating either. And I work out a fair amount, and I think the amount of cardio I do helps with that. Like it prevents me from getting
Sweaty at little
strenuated
things.
and starting to sweat. But there are other things that I do too to like avoid having body odor, like shaving my armpits. I feel like that helps a ton.
Does that? I think no. Also, you do that? Wow.
Yeah.
Oh man.
I know. I feel like when people talk about their like standards around grooming or personal care, sometimes there can be a bit of shock.
Yeah.
Like for me, I floss twice a day.
Yeah.
And when I meet people that don't floss, I'm like, why and how? Like it feels so good to floss. But anyway, like, I shower every day. I'll meet people sometimes that do it like 2 or 3 times a week. And anyway, I feel like it's a area for people to be like disgusted with each other.
Yeah,
but
it's super closely held to people. So like, it can feel like someone's from a different world. I think that like even like intergroup struggles between people, like I think there's often like assertions about people's cleanliness and stuff. It's just a very like closely held like in-group thing as well. Like in our group, we do this grooming ritual and stuff. Like people are very closely held about it.
Yeah. But now I feel a little bit embarrassed, but it's like, why not admit it? Like I've said even
dig
more
your heels
shocking
in.
things.
It's more embarrassing to be ashamed of it. No. But I always wear deodorant. Like Cool Rush has been a part of my life for 15 years now. Like, I don't know. It just keeps working. And does aluminum cause cancer? Probably. But I read in one place online that I couldn't find again that the ancient Egyptians used aluminum powder as well. So it's Lindy.
Well, according to Tao Lin, it causes autism.
Oh, they must have loaded that guy up then.
Yeah. And then on that, gay guys with leather culture. Actually, you wanted to write about this and talk about it.
Yeah, because I heard about this. Like, you're not the first gay guy I've heard who's like a deodorant skeptic, because I would watch this Vice series called Balls Deep, which I don't like saying the name of it, but despite its name, it's not about like sexual stuff. It's about like alternative subcultures.
Yeah.
And the host is this very like nebbish, nerdy guy who gets he's continuously out of his element. I don't know where this man would be in his element besides like a nebbish man convention. But yeah, and so in one of them, he goes to one of the last like Leatherman bars in New York City. And this is from like 2007 or so. And they talk about how like they do a sniff test at the door and they turn you away if you're wearing cologne, because they just like, they're guys looking for guys and they want to smell guys.
Yeah. I have heard anecdotally from people that this places can smell horrible.
Yeah, I can imagine. It's a natural like consequence of their rules. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I think that the like sort of incentives for being into fragrances are very different for fragrance enthusiasts than say the average guy, because they're coming at it from a different angle. I think particularly with it just being a luxury product, they are interested in it being expensive, having a large collection of fragrance bottles that they can put on their desk or like bedside table.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, like they're very easy to covet. Like they're in such pretty packaging and stuff. And yeah, you can definitely like buy an idea through it in a sense, like a vision of yourself through purchasing this. And yeah, they are luxurious, but they're also accessible as well too, because they can be decanted, and like, websites like Scent Split that I was talking about, you can buy a piece of it essentially and get a sense of it. Like you can't buy 1/50th of a Cartier tank watch, like, and get the same effect of it. Like you can always buy that little piece of it.
Yeah. It's like a Bitcoin. It's
infinitely
infinitely indivisible.
Exactly.
And then for me, actually, I bought a new fragrance this week, Knize Ten, which we'll talk about in a bit, but I just went for the whole bottle. I didn't even get like a sample, partly because it has my last name in the name. My last name is Knize, but it's pronounced Knize for the brand. But yeah, I should have definitely actually smelled it first. It's not like a loss for me, because I've actually thought about buying this for a very long time. Yeah. And it'll be a nice memento to just have this bottle that has my last name, and it's very pretty.
Yeah. Because the bottle is, I think, one of the ways they goad you into not getting a decanted version of it. Yeah, no, you did the right choice. I feel like you'd just always be curious about it. If it's something that has your name on it, you're going to want to know. Yeah. And I think there's a big, like, in the purchasing of fragrances, there is so much curiosity in it as well. Like there's just this whole community of people trying to put words to something that like is very difficult to, and there is like a very good vocabulary for it. Like reading too many charts and studying for this, like I I'm going to be very cautious in this episode of like how directly I talk about scents, because I don't think I can land it in the way that the real experts do. You know, like I think that there's a lot of scents that I would confuse. But yeah, that little bit of waiting for a fragrance to arrive and seeing if it lines up with your expectations must be fun. It's a mystery box.
Yeah, I wonder if you are like a hardcore fragrance enthusiast, if after a certain point you can go on fragrantica.com and you can actually look at the notes and you can start to figure out what it would smell like in your head. I wonder if you get to a point where you start to be accurate with your scientific guesses.
Like sight reading sheet music. Like you just start to do it in your head. That's crazy. We'll talk about him later, but I believe Jeremy Fragrance can do that. I believe him.
Yeah. I should mention what the notes are briefly first. So with every fragrance, there are notes that correspond to individual scents that are part of the fragrance. So the alcohols that are in fragrances, they evaporate at different rates. Top, middle, and base notes, those each correspond to like the order in which you start to stop smelling them.
Yeah. So yeah, I thought that was so interesting. Like I didn't know much about fragrance, and then I had an ex teach me a lot, and like her saying that like it can change over the day and like certain parts of it can come out later. It was very interesting to me.
Yeah. Another thing that like affects how it smells over the course of the day is the concentration. Depending on if they're a parfum, an eau de parfum, eau de toilette, or an eau de Cologne. Sorry,
I'm grateful you had to do that. I couldn't do that. I don't know how to say this shit.
Yeah, that word in French, EAU, it's very similar to the word for eye in Portuguese, eu.
Mm-hmm.
So I have the hardest time with French pronunciation because it's so close to Portuguese.
Yeah.
My bad. But yeah, the top one, or the most concentrated, which is the perfume or parfum, that has a concentration of around 20 to 30%. So that can last up to 8 hours or longer. Where as you go down the list in decreasing concentration, it will last less and less time. Yeah,
I had heard about these, but I always got them mixed up in my head. So I looked at my fragrances and like figured out what each one was, and it all makes sense. Like, yeah, no, Bogue Maii, as I'll talk about in a second, I'm currently wearing. Like, I kind of forget that I always sign up for kind of 8 hours of that. So yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of like the difference between lotions, creams, and ointments, where, you know, there's like different intensities depending on the product. And fragrance enthusiasts will often specify for a particular fragrance which concentration is their favorite, because the highest concentration isn't always the best lasting or like the strongest smelling. You'd be surprised. It's not so clear cut.
Yeah. Only some fragrances come in like, you know, multiple settings, I guess, of that. I think I'm realizing like a lot of the ones I own like just come in that one type. But you can theoretically dilute them. You can buy like fragrance, like de-scented or whatever, like fragrancer's alcohol, I guess. But the more like useful thing is just only spray a little bit of it to try and like, titrate it in that way, or spray it and go for a brisk walk, which I always wonder if when I put on like Eau de Cologne and then go for a bike ride, like, am I just wasting money? I'm just blowing all that off of me. Oh well.
Getting your heart rate up and starting to sweat will cause it to evaporate because your body heat will increase the rate of evaporation. Yeah. So yeah, we'll get off of you faster.
But you forget, I'll just choose not to sweat, actually. So
yeah. And so as our audience might be inferring right now, the words perfume or parfum and cologne, colloquially, those refer to women's and men's fragrances, but the etymology has nothing to do with gender. It has to do with concentration.
It's interesting because like usually with like women's clothes, they're much less robust and hardy than men's, but in perfume, they get to have access to the strongest stuff.
Yeah. Their fragrances are screaming the loudest across the room.
Mm-hmm. But it also does kind of fit with like a man's outfit is an ensemble of stuff, of like smaller components, like, and they all fit together. But women's outfits are often like a series of statements, you know, like a dress, a hat in the past. But with the loss of the hat, maybe there's more pressure on the perfume nowadays.
The bag and the shoes.
Yeah. Bag and shoes.
Yeah. Now I think we can start to talk about individual men's fragrances. Before we get into those, though, I found this cool flowchart of the 4chan fragrance board. It mapped out basically 10 fragrances to start with, and then all of the sort of other scents you can go through in those categories depending on like differences and like what you want it to smell like.
The sheer like raw intellectual ability of 4chan, if harnessed for good or at least just like middling things, is like amazing, you know? Or they can like essentially elect Donald Trump through like a series of cultural changes. But Yeah. So when it comes to fragrances, I guess I just have this inherent skepticism of the big fashion houses. I think I've talked about this before. I think it's kind of similar to your dislike of Ivy League schools. Like they suck up so much air in the conversations about education in that way. And then for me, like it feels like fashion is just talking about LVMH, Louis Vuitton, Moet, Hennessy, like that group. I just hate the idea of that as a company too, because I think that like making fine wines and that kind of stuff is a different skill set from making nice clothes. But the truth is that there's always been an overlap between fragrance and designer clothes. Like it's been there from the start. Dior fragrance came out like 2 years after the fashion house launched. But I do feel that there is, I was reading earlier, a difference between like designer versus niche fragrances. It's basically that like, though there's of course very great and compelling designer fragrances out there, they're always going to be more mass market to like justify their kind of like their inclusion in this brand and selling to the world as well. But niche perfumers like don't need to satisfy that. They're always going to be more daring and I think more interesting.
Yeah. I mean, it's always good to divert away from concentrated power and support smaller brands when you can. But yeah, for a part of the research I did this week, I went to Macy's and I was going there looking at the clothes, seeing that they're all largely kind of gaudy and not very fashionable, and wondering to myself, these fragrances I'm about to try, to an untrained eye or an untrained nose, these must kind of suck.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, if the clothes are just okay, like, yeah, what are the fragrances like? And the answer is they're just like, they're what like the whole fashion system has decided people aren't going to hate.
Yeah. I feel like they are maybe, say, better than like the clothing that you see at Macy's because Jeremy Fragrance, the leading fragrance influencer in the world.
You didn't finish his full title there. The leading fragrance influencer who follows the teachings of Jesus Christ.
He likes a lot of the ones that they carry at Macy's. I mean, I don't know if there's any sense that he like hates though. I didn't see any reviews that he did where he's like, I hate this, never wear it.
Oh no, I watched a very rapid clip of him talking about 10 fragrances that he doesn't like. But each one he's just said they don't perform well. He didn't say anything. He just like, he would say they smell good, but they don't perform well. So I think he's talking about
how long they last.
Yeah, basically, which I thought we had kind of solved that. I thought that's interesting. There's still like mainstream fragrances that struggle with that in some sense.
Yeah.
Or maybe maybe his nose is just shot and he needs like a higher level of concentration that not even parfum can give him.
I mean, I saw some videos where he would like spray a scent like 30 times on himself before reviewing it.
Yeah, I feel like you're losing receptors at some point.
Yeah.
But yeah. So yeah, popular fragrances like from, big design houses, Dior Sauvage.
Yeah. So I'm glad I caught this before we recorded. So Dior Sauvage, it's not the original Dior scent that they came out with in 1966. That was Eau Sauvage. Eau, sorry. I really want to say it like Portuguese. But yeah, Eau Sauvage, that one is a different scent. The one that you can now buy at Macy's, that came out in 2015. And it was originally advertised by Johnny Depp. That's how you know it was like of that era.
Yeah. I mean, and then they took him away from it for a bit. But then like in his, return to form or whatever, now he's back on it. I remember like first seeing the billboards again. And I was like, oh, they can't keep this guy down, I guess. They're kind of cashing in on his legal victory. Yeah, in all the ads, he's like dressed as what I kind of imagine he likes to dress as, because it's like the kind of look he does like in candid photos and on red carpets.
Where he's wearing too much jewelry. I believe Nymphet Alumni called it like male pirate dressing.
Yeah, it's so funny that he was associated with the most profitable pirate franchise ever. Like, how did in what world would he not be that?
Yeah. So yeah, Sauvage, the scent that we now know, that one I didn't actually get to try because at Macy's, for some reason, they didn't have it like out, and I didn't want to ask one of the 10 employees there because I was a little bit shy. They had too many retail employees.
Yeah, that is one thing. It's so funny. Like with department stores, yeah, like the clothes of like the bottom has fallen out in them. Basically, the quality is terrible. The knowledge of workers is terrible. But for some reason, fragrance powers on and is not like suffered in the same way that like the textile industry has in America.
Yeah, I mean, I can kind of see why you'd want to ask people like retail workers who are specialized in fragrances a lot of questions if you don't know anything, because I had so many questions this week. Like I wouldn't know the difference between Eau de Toilette or like Eau de Cologne. It's nice if there's someone there to explain it to you.
Yeah, definitely.
So where does the Sauvage name come from? So Christian Dior, who founded Dior, he had a friend who also worked in fashion. His name was Percy Savage, and he had created this new scent but hadn't come up with a name for it yet. So he invited Percy Savage over to brainstorm with him a name for it. And then Percy Savage was a little bit late, and his butler then announced to Christian that Percy Savage arrived, and he said, Monsieur Sauvage is here. And he loved the mispronunciation, and that's where the name came from.
That's so good. Wow, that's such a fun story. Yeah, Percy Savage seems like an interesting guy. His Wikipedia page describes him as a bon vivant.
What is that?
Bon vivant is the usual term, like someone who's an enjoyer of all things and like lives the good life. But for this one Wikipedia article, they use like an incorrect French.
Like a fail son.
Yeah. Oh no, it's not. There's a big overlap, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. Like a socialite, basically.
But you can be a self-made bon vivant. You know?
Okay.
Yeah. But no, most oftentimes they are fail sons spending money. Yeah. Spendthrifts.
Oh, and I forgot to mention, this is the #1 men's fragrance.
Oh.
So Sauvage, when it first came out in 1966, that was pretty popular. At some point, Dior had stopped producing men's fragrances completely when they came out with Dior Sauvage in 2015. That was their first one in 10 years. But that did really well. It's been the #1 fragrance for a long time.
Yeah. No, and people think of Dior for fragrances, definitely. I watched too many like fragrance advertisements in the lead up to this. That was my research. And one of them stuck with me was Charlize Theron and J'adore by Dior. In it, she puts a drop of it on her. And then she says like, a drop of Dior and I'm dressed in Dior. And that is the most on the nose like marketing angle of it, is that they're telling you that by like taking this tiny little bit of it, like you can gain the powers of being fully clad in Dior.
Yeah. Designer fragrances are still so much more affordable than their clothing, though.
Yeah.
Like I went into Burberry actually last weekend with Brianna. She was in Chicago. Mm-hmm. And I have a Burberry scent, which you're going to try in a little bit. I looked it up. My sister got it for me. It was like $30, whereas like a coat from Burberry is like $3,000. Yeah. So it's a difference of over like 100%.
Yeah, no. It's been observed with the fashion houses that the way they really make their money is through the little tiny like leather goods and wallets, the little stuff like that you can just buy a piece of the dream, basically. Mm-hmm. And yeah, fragrance is the easiest way.
And then one more thing on Sauvage. So fragrance influencers, they'll say not to buy it, not to wear it, because it is so popular. People have already associated it with people they've met in their personal lives. So this can't be your signature scent, essentially, because it's defined so many other people already.
Yeah. I guess I would recognize it if I smelled it, but...
It's apparently very spicy. It has like pepper in several of the notes.
Oh, and I was just saying that like, yeah, any designer brand is not going to be that interesting, but I mean, pepper is not everyone likes peppery stuff. So at least it has like some component of difference to it.
Yeah. That makes me think it is probably a bit dated. Something I would hear like fragrance influencers talk about a lot is that like a scent was in style, or if, it was a bit older, that it was not out of style. And it'd be like, how could a scent be in style? But something about this being from 2015 and spelling spicy is a little bit like too like horny for the modern day.
Oh yeah, for this more kind of like desexualized era we're entering into. Yeah.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, and then just like also Johnny Depp just feels dated in general too, and so like trotting him back out to sell it again just feels there's this phrase, what is it? He smells of yesteryear.
Mm-hmm.
Oh wow, and it's very on the nose. It actually smells like wow.
Yeah.
I heard that phrase for the first time. Someone is using it to describe Rahm Emanuel running for president, but he smells like 2015, basically.
Also, JB Pritzker is like definitely planning on running. We can't have like two people from our state.
No, yeah, that's just mixed messaging. We got to choose one guy, one Jewish guy.
The next fragrance we can talk about is Bleu de Chanel. So that's like the #2 most popular one. We're not just going to be talking about popular ones, but I thought it would be good to talk about these.
These are the big ones, yeah. This is from 2010.
It is a very fresh and clean scent. I was able to smell this one. I was able to smell it in the perfume version, Eau de Cologne and Eau de Cologne.
Oh, working your way down from there. Interesting.
It's very fresh. For the most part, it's like things like lemon, ginger. So it's not like super, super citrusy, but that's the dominant accord.
Yeah, 99% Invisible had their like fashion podcast, articles of interest, and they did an episode on perfume, and they talk about how there was a big pivot in the 90s towards clean scents, and everything just got really citrusy. And I guess this is like, it's 10 years after that. But I think it's a crowd pleaser. It's pretty inoffensive. So I owned a bottle of this for a bit. I was given it as a gift when I was a summer camp counselor. Basically, a parent's mom, I think it was at the beginning of the week or the end of the week, but as a tip, which is very rare, as they should be. I don't think you should have to tip your camp counselors.
Yeah.
But yeah, she worked for Chanel fragrance, and she gave me a bottle of it, and it lasted pretty long in my bag before it got just too beat up, getting knocked around of like being a camp counselor. But it's the most beautiful bottle. It's simple, maybe a little bit boring, but it has a very nice magnet top where like if you twist it, it'll hit the opposition side of the magnet and it'll kind of push itself off, and it feels really good. So I think I'd fiddled with it a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. There are a lot of videos of Jeremy Fragrance biting the caps off of bottles. I wonder how he managed to bite that one off.
Yeah, that'd be a tricky one. God, I hope he doesn't choke.
But yeah, that was kind of like a sexually charged gift.
Yeah, I was teased a lot for it by my fellow counselors. They're just like, "Whoa, was she hot?" And I was like, "Yeah, actually." Like she's a like fragrance saleswoman. Like I feel like they have a type, you know?
Yeah. But also, I feel like guys are hard to shop for, straight guys particularly.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's like a pretty safe gift to get people as a fragrance. Also, if they don't like it, it doesn't take that much space. They're likely going to hold on to it even if they don't use it much.
Yeah, the second most popular fragrance in the world. Yeah, it's a pretty safe. It's a piece of luxury. It's I don't know, like unless someone has a very strong preference about it, like you probably will pull it off and succeed.
Yeah. The next fragrance I want to talk about is Paco Rabanne Phantom. So my ex-boyfriend wore it, and I actually was with him when he first got it for the first time. He also went to Macy's. We got help by a retail worker there who had worked in the fragrance area for 20 years, and he said it was rad that I was a librarian.
Rad. Yeah, he's definitely been there longer than 20 years. I think the last time rad was said unironically.
Yeah. And this fragrance, it comes in a really cool bottle. Well, I don't know if you're going to think it's cool, but it's shaped like a robot. And I think that the reason why is because this initially came out in 2021. And I imagine the people that designed this fragrance thinking about the Disney adultification of everyone in our age group and how, this bottle might look nice next to someone's Funko Pop or like a Cos figurine.
Yeah, I was going to say Funko Pop on there. Yeah. I mean, I do like 60s futurism, and that's what this is going for. But yeah, by way of a little like toy collectible.
Yeah, it's very designer toy coded. Yeah. But in general, Paco Rabanne, their bottles are kind of interesting. Like the Invictus bottle, it looks like a trophy. They have another one called 1 Million, which looks like a literal gold bar.
Yeah, that's fun. I've always wanted to own a gold ingot. I don't know. Maybe a silver one's more attainable.
Yeah.
But
these are very like new money coded.
Yeah.
Like imagine a guy waking up and spraying himself with a fragrance that's in a gold bar container. Like that screams douchebag.
Yeah, no, that really is. That's just like I'm financing my car. I'm wearing a lot of Express. Just a lot of vicious
I have
signaling.
a Gucci belt.
Yeah, Gucci belt vibes, definitely.
But surprisingly, even though the bottle is kind of a gimmick, the fragrance smells really nice. I imagine it being a bit of an afterthought, but it's kind of high energy. Like the retail worker that sold this to my ex, he said it was like a good scent for a young man because it just smells energetic.
Energetic. Oh, that's good. So now going way back in time, going into the classics, 4711 by Maurer and Wurtz. So this is the first cologne by many measures of it. So yeah, it's been made in Cologne, Germany since 1799. And Cologne has like flipped across between France and Germany and stuff. So it's an interesting place for that. I actually got to visit there and see the cathedral. It's very pretty.
Yeah. And for people who can't tell, Joseph is saying Cologne in yes. the actual German correct way.
And they spell it K-O with an umlaut.
Yeah.
L-N, Kiln. Yeah.
So yeah, this is the oldest men's fragrance still in production. And it is where, the term cologne comes from. So this scent, it's the same formula. It's very citrusy. Because it's one of the first fragrances ever made, the longest men's one still in production, it's not very well formulated. It doesn't last very long.
No, it doesn't. Yeah, I keep a little tiny, they call it a watch bottle. It's a very like small bottle of it, and I often like travel with it just because it is like, I think it makes you smell very clean, so it's good when traveling. You might get sweaty or something. But yeah, I just like then forget that I applied it, essentially.
Yeah. I watched a video from a YouTuber called Fragrance Lament where he wore this fragrance every day for a week, and he had to decant it, which is when you split it up into smaller bottles, because he said the only way to really wear it all week is to continuously put it on. He called it a splash cologne. So it's not something that you can put on once. It's going to go away within minutes or within an hour.
I've seen people call those freshies. But yeah it's interesting because like I know that like fragrances got pretty crazy in like the 20s. That's when a lot of animalics came out and stuff. We'll talk about those more. But I kind of thought that like, oh, maybe it was just crazier and crazier in the past. But sometimes like, usually the first installment of something is so weird and different from everything that came after it. But this is just like, it's just okay.
It's okay.
It's very similar to this Colonia in Turkey. Like basically when this style of like citrus cologne hit Turkey, they just loved it and they sprayed it on their hands after meals. I think it's nice, especially if you like eating a kebab, your hands are all like greasy and all that, and it says alcohol on it. And then like Colonia really got its time to shine in COVID because it was hard to get actual hand sanitizer, but Colonia was everywhere. And it's like 80% alcohol. So that's like good enough basically.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's nice. I should keep it around more.
Interesting. They were using basically perfume, or they use perfume basically as hand sanitizer in Turkey. Because I read that the 4711, is that how you say it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I believe originally it was marketed for both external and internal use. People would drink it for health properties.
Oh my God. It's alcohol. I guess it's possible.
Yeah. No, I don't think it had any benefit. But yeah, originally people were drinking that stuff. One thing I do like about it though is the bottle, because it was designed in 1820, a little bit later than the fragrance came out. But it just looks like something that could never be designed today. It's too intricate.
Yeah, it's just like from a different world. It's just the ornateness of it. Do you want to smell it right now?
Oh, you have it?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. So this doesn't have a spritzer. Is that what they mean by splash cologne? Because you have to splash it on?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm putting it on on my artery, on my wrist. Okay. Oh, yeah, that's just okay.
Yeah. No, I thought it was going to be crazy. And then it was just like, I just always like to buy the oldest version of a lot of things. When I go to a city, I like to go to like the oldest restaurant or something.
The bottle that you have, it isn't the largest size. The biggest sizes you see online, they are more intricate than this, but it still has the same color scheme where it's turquoise, gold, and red. It's just like a color scheme you wouldn't see today because it's too vibrant.
Yeah. No, it's very regal.
Yeah. And then what's the next fragrance you want to talk about?
All right, my favorite weird fragrance, the one I'm wearing right now. I just got a tiny sample of it, and it was so distinctive. I ended up buying like a 50 ml of it, I guess, but I've still not bought the full bottle. So it's gonna be that squat little guy,
the smallest one.
Yeah, that one right there.
Okay.
So this is Maii by the perfumery Bogue, and it's we could maybe link the review to it by someone else, but there's very little on it from the actual producer of it, like in their own words what the notes are. But yeah, there's a fragrantica. Fragrantica, not that hard, Joseph. But yeah, and so everyone just says that like, this is not for everyone. This is like very animalic forward. And it's just got a lot going on. It can sometimes nauseate people as well. But I just think that it's interesting. Yeah, it's got civet, castoreum, resins, musk. This is the kind of stuff I was looking for when I first got into fragrances. Where I'm like, all right, what was the weirdo stuff from the 1920s? I do not wear this all the time. One time at a wedding, I actually spilled some on myself when I had a little small sample, and that was a mistake. I think it was just way too much going on. And I don't know. I always thought it'd be funny if animals were attracted to me when I was wearing it, but I haven't actually observed that.
Yeah. Wait, so this isn't from 1920, is it?
No. It's a recent one. Yeah.
Okay.
It is. People always say it's like vintage inspired.
Vintage inspired. Okay, I'm going to give it a shot. Although I kind of smelled it on you earlier. Let's see. Yeah, it is kind of musky. Like, I wonder what this would smell like to an animal.
Yeah, it's a good one, man. And it's the highest concentration. Yeah, it's parfum.
What makes you want to wear it? Is it more like you like the scent, or you think girls like the scent?
I do not think girls like the scent. I've never worn it on a first date or anything. It's like, I think it's just what I'm going out for. Like, it's for me. You know, sometimes you wear something for yourself.
It kind of makes me think of my crusty grandpa.
I'll take it.
Yeah. And then next scent. Okay, this is one of mine that you're going to get to try. It's Burberry Weekend for Men. So this originally came out in 1997, and my older sister bought it for me for Christmas one year. And for a long time, this was my only scent up until this week.
Oh.
So it's kind of my signature scent. What do you think of it?
That's great. It's citrus-y.
Yeah, it's very citrusy.
Yeah, no, very. But it's just got more going on in it than 4711. No, it's clean. It's bright. Yeah, again, my vocabulary is limited. But, no, that's great.
No, a lot of the notes are primarily fruit. Like, the top notes are lemon, grapefruit, bergamot, pineapple, mandarin, orange, and melon. And I feel like it would make sense for my signature scent to be fruit. One, because I love fruits. I've had an exotic fruit hobby. But also, I'm often carrying around with me bananas, as I admitted on the Gorpcore episode last week.
Always got that thing on you.
Yeah. So the subtle banana scent I have would be complemented by a citrus scent like this one.
Yeah, no, that's so good. Yeah, I love a good theme. So,
Yeah.
oh.
And then an anecdote. My friend Peter, who is Droom, who is on the Vaporwave episode, when we were in college one time, we were talking about like what foods we would be if we were a food. And I asked him what he thought I would be. And he said, I would be a rare fruit from the Amazon that had 40 times more vitamin C than the typical fruit because I'm so intense. And I've always loved that.
That's a really good line. If you did that off the hat, that's amazing. Like off the cuff. That's crazy.
Yeah. No, he knows me very well. He actually can do an impression of me. Yeah.
I can do an impression of you, Nathan, if you'd like.
What does it sound like?
I can't do that on the podcast. That's unbecoming.
Yeah.
That would be funny to go back and forth, though.
No, I feel like impersonations don't record well. They're just like funny voices. Like if you have very, very good equipment, then maybe. But overall, like on mics like these, they wouldn't sound good.
No, they fall flat. Yeah. So if that's your personal fragrance, smell the coffee grounds. Clear your palate. And also another thing you can do is, so we could be spraying these on like paper and smelling them, but I do think the body oils are important. So you start running out of body parts though, but we're both wearing shorts. So you can spray it on your knee and smell your knee.
You want me to spray it on my knee?
That's an option. Or go up your arm a little bit more. Get it like a fresh spot. Maybe like closer to your elbow.
So this probably isn't the scent that you smell, or sorry, this isn't the scent that you wear all the time. What would you say is?
Well, so yeah, I do not wear Bogue Maii every day. I'm not trying to get hunted down by animals. But I wear Greenbriar by Caswell Massey.
Is that one that you have here?
Yes.
Okay.
So yeah, try that one. So Caswell Massey, and my love of old things, this is the oldest American fragrance house. But this is not their oldest scent. They have ones that are back from like the early 1900s, I think 1800s or so. I smelled some of those, but I didn't want to just like, I choose the old thing. Yeah. Like, no, I want to choose the one I actually like. And I landed on Greenbriar, which is actually from the 80s. I think because it kind of reminds me of an Armani scent that my dad would wear, which I do have, but perfumes sadly expire. And like they expire 3 to 5 years after opening. And that one just does not smell like my like key memory. So I guess I'd have to buy an unopened bottle online.
Yeah.
But
the bottle says established 1752. That's pretty old.
Yeah, no, it's one of the oldest businesses in America. Brooks Brothers is from 1818, but that blows it out of the water. From what I've read about it, the continuity of the company is a little mixed. I think they just like never wanted to lose the name, basically.
What would you say the accord is, or like the dominant scent?
I'm just going to steal from their website. Burst of mandarin and neroli cuts through the air, then oak moss and sage. So I think I like that there is something like, there's a citrus background to it.
I would say it's floral.
Yeah, but it's got other stuff going. I can't just do pure citrus, essentially. But yeah, there's like, and then just enough musk to get you there. I've often said like the 60s are my favorite era, but I think that like in practicality, like the 80s is what I kind of reach for in a lot of ways, because that just seems like less far away.
It's closer. Yeah, it feels less like a costume, as you've said. But yeah, this is a nice signature scent. You know, it's nice that we can have signature scents as non-fragrance enthusiasts, because I feel like the people who are chasing the best scent for them to have, ironically, are the ones that don't obtain it. Because if you're like me, up until this week, only owning one bottle of cologne, it's like, I'm actually the person who has a signature scent, unlike everyone else. Yeah,
no, if you're rotating them all the time or layering scents, like unless you come up with a uniquely layered scent and you just stick to that after there.
Imagine someone like putting a different scent on each wrist.
Yeah, my different sides of me.
I mean, that's kind of me right now. I have 3 scents on me now.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, there are like, stories of celebrities who buy like certain perfumes and stuff by like the boatload, and it's just their thing.
Yeah. And then the final fragrance we're going to review, this one's exciting. So this is Knize Ten. So this fragrance, it's super silent generation coded because according to the Fragnatica page, it's considered to be one of the best leather compositions in the history of perfume. It was launched in the 1920s. A founder of the house is Joseph Knize, the Viennese tailor of the royal court. So someone with my last name and your first name created this scent.
Crazy.
And it gets crazier than that because the Viennese architect Adolf Loos, who's someone we talked about on interwar modernism, and I feel like he might have come up in some other contexts.
Yeah, he's come up since,
Mm-hmm. He's very silent generation coded. His designs were amazing, but he designed the bottles for the scent as well as the storefront for the store that's been around for over 100 years, Knize Ten in Vienna, Austria. Or sorry, Knize in Vienna, Austria.
And they're both great. They're just that perfect. It's why I wanted us to make that episode of interwar modernism. It feels like it gets the best of old and new. It like feels so distinctively like vintage and old, but not stuffy in any way. Like all the lines are still very crisp and everything is well composed. Yeah, the bottle has these nice chamfered sides on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, the gentleman's Knize Ten. Wait, what was the pronunciation you were using earlier?
Knize. So
cool.
the last name Knize in Bohemia, in the Czech Republic, it's a royal title. It means like duke or baron. And throughout like the neighboring regions in Central Europe, Eastern Europe, it has different spellings, but it also is like a royal title. And so I guess in Austria, the way to say it is Knize. I've been told in the past, I think the way to say my last name in Czech is like Knize, but there's different ways to say it.
Oh, interesting. No, yeah, my family, like, we had one pronunciation of our last name and we gave up on it like 3 generations ago. You just got to go with whatever people tell you.
Yeah.
Whatever they call out in the dentist's office.
I think the American pronunciation is really nice, though. Like Knize.
Yeah.
I don't know. People always really like my last name.
Yeah, you'd be adding a consonant in there if you went Knize, you know? So maybe you didn't sign up for that.
Yeah.
No, I like it. Yeah, so I just sprayed it and I was smelling it. I was just expecting like leather, and that is there, yeah. But it's sweeter than I thought it would be, for one thing, which I'm usually opposed to. But
I don't like how it smells sweet personally. It's not sweet in the fruit way. It's sweet in a like honey way, in a like sugar way, almost. But yeah, it actually has like a pretty complex accord because it's composed of 20 different notes, which is higher than Dior Sauvage's 12 and Bleu de Chanel's 15. I feel like people in the fragrance world really like this because it's so complex. It's an example of people who are too much into one thing, just getting about like excited about something that's different.
Yeah, it's just like when you smelled everything, you're looking for like something to shock you or surprise you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. But no, so do you think this has a shot at being your signature fragrance?
No, I think I'm going to stick with Burberry Weekend because learning that it's like citrus, it is a citrus profile. I think it matches me better. And I've been wearing it for so long that I do associate it with memories now. It smells like me.
Yeah. No, it's like, yeah, a cool coincidence can only go so far. You know, you can't kind of like force it to work.
Yeah. But the scent, another base note that it has is actually castoreum. Do you know what that is?
Yeah, I mentioned it when I was talking about the, what's it called? The Bogue Maii. But yeah, castor oil is from a beaver.
Yeah, it's what's called an exudate. It's basically like something that's secreted from the body of a beaver. You'd think it would smell horrible because beavers are usually musky and wet and they actually have a ton of bacteria. But castoreum, it smells delicious and it's also edible. They put it in some foods as like a substitute for vanilla. Not many. It's usually like, artisanal goods. But yeah, it smells a bit like vanilla and that's something that I think comes through a lot with Knize Ten.
Yeah, I remember like when reading for Bogue Maii, it's different components and it said civet on there. And I'm like, well, that's an animal. That's like a weird little cat. And yeah, it's the same deal. Like it secretes an oil and they use it in there. I mean, I think nothing is as like arcane and fascinating as ambergris, you know?
That's like, from whales, right?
Yeah. It's just like when a whale eats something it can't digest, it coats it in this weird substance and people dig it up and it's worth bagillions.
Yeah. There's a video of Jeremy Fragrance holding ambergris and he's like, this cost 100,000 euros for 3 milligrams.
Amazing. Yeah. Oh, and also on the Knize Ten bottle, it just says toilet water on it.
Yeah, so it's a poor translation of Eau de Toilette. So Eau de Toilette, toilette is in reference to in French, which refers to the process of grooming and dressing. Here, toilet just means toilet, but
yeah, no, I think that I don't know, because we always use a French term for more like appropriate things. Like we always use the Germanic is like gross and vulgar, and then the French one is nicer, butt versus derriere.
Yeah. Okay, so before we get into Jeremy Fragrance, finally,
the specter looming over this episode is Jeremy Fragrance.
Yeah, but we can talk about celebrity fragrances a bit. Are there any that come to mind when you think about celebrity fragrances?
I just think. I don't know. I'm just inherently skeptical. I don't want to list them off. I just think it's a funny thing. Like if I'm already kind of irritated at fashion houses taking up space in the fragrance world, then like just a celebrity deciding they want a fragrance like also kind of rubs me the wrong way because they're not famous for that. They're famous for some other skill. And I think it's okay to want to like buy a piece of the story of Louis Vuitton and all their art. Like it's okay, it's not my favorite, but just wanted to buy a piece of the story of Ryan Reynolds. I don't even know if he has one. But.
Yeah, because it's not like it's not like those scents were associated with those celebrities prior to them being released. They had to be formulated for them as a new product. Yeah. And also they didn't have any hand, or maybe they did, like they got a batch, a couple of samples. I think they shoot
some emails and then they send them a batch of it and you rubber stamp it and then you're fine.
Yeah, but it's so just like, it has nothing to do with their creative practice. So how can they say that it's theirs?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. It's also like the celebrity spokesperson is such a time-honored thing for brands. Like Alain Delon, that like beautiful French actor from the 60s and stuff, he was the person for some Dior fragrance. I forget. I should have written it down. But yeah, it's like that's a long-standing thing. So it almost feels like these celebrities couldn't get picked by the big fashion houses to represent real fragrances, so they had to go rogue and make their own. But a lot of times it's done in partnership with like a fashion house.
When I think of celebrity fragrances, though, the one that comes to mind for me is Fame by Lady Gaga. Have you ever heard of it?
No. Yeah, but
do you know Fame? Do you know that album by her?
Oh, it's an album. Okay.
Yeah, that was her like Fame Monster era. So her most famous era, when she was her most transgressive, when all the other celebrities were kind of playing catch up and trying to be weird.
Yeah.
Like that was why Nicki Minaj started to wear like stuffed animal outfits.
Yeah.
But anyway.
After the meat dress. Yeah.
Yeah, this was during the meat dress. Mm-hmm. So it was rumored before this perfume came out that it was going to be made to smell like semen and blood. That didn't end up happening. It's a very floral fragrance, but that's why I remember hearing about it.
Man, if she was maybe at the height of her Fame Monster, maybe she would have, but maybe she's on the come down of it then.
Yeah.
That's interesting. All right. Now we can do it. We can talk about number one fragrance influencer, Jeremy Fragrance.
Yeah. Who believes in Jesus Christ.
It's true. It's true.
Yeah. So I didn't know too much about him before this week, other than he loved fragrances and that he had a lot of quote unquote bad experiences in the gay community. Yeah. Did you ever see those videos?
Yeah. I've seen a different video of him where he's like talking about, he's playing this triumphant song. He's talking about all the things he's triumphed over. And one of the things was, gay people tried to make me do things I did not want to do, as a thing he overcome that year. And I'm like, this guy, I'm going to keep my eye on this guy. This is a fascinating character.
Yeah. I know. Maybe I shouldn't find it so amusing, but when he talks about an earlier stage of his life when he was in closer proximity to gay people, he talks about it like he was in imminent danger.
And he's always like, don't get me wrong, I liked the attention. And I'm like, what did you get yourself into, Jeremy? Like,
yeah. I mean, apparently he had like he says he had a gay relationship, but he doesn't get like too specific about what that was or why it happened.
Yeah, no. He's I sort him in the same kind of category as Tommy Wiseau, the director of The Room, because they're both like people from Poland who have spent too much time like outside of Poland and like just dancing around like all of Europe. So they just have this like implacable, bizarre accent.
Yeah. I like his accent. It's very poetic. And you kind of have to read between the lines and ask yourself, did he mean to use that word, or is it just him being ESL?
Yeah, or him being insane, which is the other theory about him. There's also another theory that he's a little bit put on in a way, that he saw that he was getting more attention for biting the tops off of cologne bottles, and then he just leaned into it.
No, I think there's been a slide towards insanity over time, but let's talk about his early life a little bit first. So prior to becoming a fragrance influencer, he was a martial artist, a dancer, and a boy band singer. All of these three talents, they helped him in his later career on TikTok.
Yes, all these skills he learned along his way. No, the boy band thing makes so much sense. Like, he seems like someone who's like a little bit frozen in that time. Like, the all white outfit just does feel very Y2K as well. Yeah. The tall hair.
No, he transitioned away from when he was peak Eurotrash. Because if you see pictures of him from when he went as Jeremy Williams, when he was a boy band singer, he looks basically like Bruno or like Milo Yiannopoulos. Like, he's that certain genre of like mid-2000s gay guy, you know?
Yeah. And now he's kind of like transitioned more to the kind of like breezy luxury, I think is what he's going for. But you can see the roots, though, of like what he used to be.
Yeah. He is such a pretty boy, though. I don't like his current look. I mean, he's lost a lot of weight and grown out his hair, and he definitely is not taking care of himself as much, but he was very attractive when he was younger. So when did his passion for fragrances start? That happened after his first trip to America at the age of 19. He went into an Abercrombie & Fitch store and he got hit with the scent that they pump out of their stores, or they used to. It's called Fierce.
Yeah, wow. This is his villain origin story. I would have assumed he like fell into a vat of fragrance or something in a kind of like Joker-esque origin. But no, I guess he just went to Abercrombie. That's where it started.
I find that just as crazy though, because basically what hooked him on fragrance is what's called scent marketing.
Mm-hmm.
There's like a CNN article I'll link, but basically when brands utilize scents in retail settings, they can increase their margins by say like 3%. There are like companies I associate scent marketing with, mainly Subway, Noodles Company, and Abercrombie and Fitch.
Oh yeah, no. Abercrombie and Fitch was like they always got shit for it, but I mean, it was successful for them. Like it built this like core memory for everyone of that era.
Yeah. I didn't go to malls much as a kid, and I didn't go to Abercrombie and Fitch stores at all, except for maybe one time. But the one time I went to one, I remember smelling this, and I can still remember it. That's how strong it was.
Yeah. No, there's like a very easy stand-up at the time. It was like, it's dark. You don't know what's going on. It smells crazy. Like
It feels like you're in a club.
Yeah. They like have you in their thrall. They're controlling all of your senses, and they're presenting you with jeans. Yeah.
Yeah. So the particular scent that they had when Jeremy Fragrance got hooked, it was called Fierce, and it was musky. It was, kind of a quote unquote horny scent that now feels outdated. They replaced the scent recently, and it became what's called white bergamot. And they switched it because they always said that Fierce was making people anxious.
Yeah, they named it Fear. Like, what can they expect?
Yeah.
This is such a strange name for it. I feel like that the name of it, I mean, the smell of it does fit the whole Abercrombie vibe, like sporty, sexy, all-American, but the name doesn't. Like, you think
it's Fierce, not Fear.
Oh, okay.
Fierce.
Makes a lot more sense. Yeah.
It's Britney Spears coded.
Yeah, I guess so, of that era. But yeah, this is, I mean, they took the like ripped guys off of the bags, off the shopping bags. They made the smell less sexy. Like, yeah, it was, they saw like the walls coming in on that era. And they're like, no, we've also made our logos smaller. We're just more about basics here.
Yeah, their new scent, White Bergamot, it was described in the news article I read as being gender neutral. So they definitely are moving in a more like sexless direction with their brand.
Mm-hmm. That's been a thing in fragrances, I was told, the past like 3 or 4 years is unisex and gender neutral. Bogue, like Bogue by Maii, is apparently gender neutral. But I would be a little shocked if a woman smelled like that much civet.
Yeah. Oh, but while we're still on scent marketing, I want to talk about the Subway scent.
Yeah. So Abercrombie, they like actually did pump the smell into their stores.
Yes.
And I was told a similar thing about Subway.
Yeah, I thought it was an artificial scent that was getting pumped out because I always feel like the outside of Subways smells better than anything on the inside of Subway tastes. But yeah, we found this Vice article where someone actually did the legwork, contacted 100 Subway stores, figured out where the scent was coming from.
Vice has saved us so many times on this podcast. Not that we're just stealing, we always give their credit, but yeah, I mean, it's fun to laugh at them now as they're kind of down and struggling. But like, they were just writing stuff about stuff that like you always kind of wondered. It's my
craziest or my favorite crazy Vice article of all time. It's this Vice article about a Japanese woman who wanted to give birth to a dolphin.
This is the kind of hard-hitting journalism we're losing in the new click economy.
No, but it was real because apparently dolphins... Anyway, she was trying to like take like a whole like dolphin...
embryo?
And put it in her.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and then she wanted to, after give birth, put a tagger on it, then find the dolphin when it was older and then eat it. It was really... Anyway, okay.
That's crazy. All right. You gotta link that in the show notes.
Yeah, back to the Subway article. Yeah. So this guy did the work, and then he basically made the breads and the cookies from scratch and then baked them in his kitchen at the same time and determined that's what the smell is.
Yeah, it's not like one or the other. But yeah, there's always a weird sweetness to it. Like, I knew it was yeasty.
Definitely like bread.
Yeah, but like bread don't smell like that. There's something else going on. I don't like it personally. I don't know. I would always get Subway when I was hungover in college.
I always feel like no one wants to be there. Like no one's excited to be in a Subway.
No one's thrilled. It's just like pure nutrition, I guess. I always use this. I like that meme that's like when people say they don't like Subway, like, hey, you made the sandwich. I always say that about like when clients design something, they don't like how it looks in the real world. It's just, you made the sandwich. Like, you can't get mad.
Yeah. Okay, so after Jeremy Fragrance got hooked on fragrances from Abercrombie and Fitch at 19, He then made a YouTube channel in July of 2014, and he became popular over time because his reviews of fragrances were more emotional. Instead of talking about the notes and the accords, he would instead focus on basically anecdotes he could tell about the fragrances or make up hypothetical situations like, oh yeah, if I were a woman, or like if I'm a guy and I wear this, like he would tell these like very energetic stories.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of the show Top Gear, which didn't just like rattle off stats about cars, but talk about like, this is the type of car for a Swedish architect who hates his wife. And like, they just always come up with fun stuff like that. Like, that's what people want. They want to know, like, what is the vibe? Who is this for? Like, is this product living up to its own expectations, or is it falling short and compromised in some way?
Yeah. I don't like when influencers or online personalities inflate their emotions for attention.
Yeah, reaction video type stuff. Yeah.
When they're trying to be more charismatic than they actually are. I do feel like there's a bit more sincerity and authenticity in Jeremy Fragrance than average, but I don't know if it's just me, but I hope other people are getting turned off and becoming more aware of like them being manipulated with overreactions.
Yeah, no, I believe these are genuine overreactions in Jeremy Fragrance. When he smells a fragrance and then exclaims, "This makes me want to have sex with a woman," I believe him. Actually,
I kind of feel
but then that's also the gayest way to say that you want to be with a woman too.
I don't know. I think he likes the idea of himself being sexual. I don't think he actually really is.
Yeah, no, he like projects too much and he doesn't. I've always kind of believed that theory about Donald Trump as well too, but who knows?
Yeah. But yeah, YouTube was where he initially started to get some attention, but TikTok is where he really took off because his dancing abilities from earlier in his life, they're perfect for the platform.
Yeah, and his martial arts.
Yeah. But his content started to get really bizarre. Like that's when he started biting off the caps. And then I saw some videos where he would like review the scent of corn and of toothpaste.
That's like there's this guy who went viral for doing manners videos, and then he did that video on how to eat a banana. You know, like he's joking, but like you have to take your bit to the logical extreme. Yeah, how to eat a banana with a fork and knife. But
then, after he started his TikTok era, he started to go downhill after that. Like at one point, he like publicly revealed he hadn't had a girlfriend in a long time, and then put out a call for girls to date him. And it kind of felt like he was a lolcow at that point because...
Oh, a lolcow?
Kind of. It was kind of like Chris Chan when Chris Chan was like using, like crowdsourcing the entire internet to find a girlfriend.
Yeah. Well, the influencer Ayala, let's just say that she's a data analytics influencer. Yeah, because she does that. That's not an incorrect thing to say. But yeah, she's been she has a bounty out to find her a husband out there.
Imagine if we did that with Silent Generation with her like very modest audience.
Yeah, please find us girlfriend and boyfriend. No, we cannot.
But yeah, he doesn't seem to be like in decline still. I think he's kind of plateaued. Like I was looking at his most recent content. It's not like super cringe. I think he's okay.
No, I mean, I don't know. I'm just so grateful for like our setup of the show that we don't just need to like crank out content about stuff and like have to make it exciting. Like I think people are okay with this being a little boring sometimes, like, and having the tone of the show being a little more like on an even keel. I just can't imagine that like, you know, the original use of the term emotional labor was not like, you know, when your friend complains to you, you then charge them on Venmo or something. It wasn't that. It was that like in jobs, you have to perform an emotion sometimes. Like if you're a checkout person, you have to always be friendly for 8 hours and then clock out. Like people who, like influencers who have to be jazzed about smelling something, like, wow, that would annoy me after a while.
Yeah. I mean, I started in a new department at work recently, and I was talking to a coworker who said she worked in a corporate setting for about 5 years. And I was telling her about how I never have, and how like our boss is always doing like a fake corporate smile. And she was like, oh yeah, I was around that all the time. And I was like, I could never. Yeah. I mean, I like smiling. I've been doing it more the last few years.
That's so interesting to me. I don't know. I smile by default a lot of times.
For you, it's like pretty genuine, but
I like to think so.
I don't like when people do it, you know, in order to like climb the corporate ladder.
One last little thing I want to talk about with regard to fragrances is like, it feels pretentious to call them this, but like they can be very totemic. Like earlier we talked about how like you can feel like you're buying a piece of a brand and stuff. But I think that we ascribe such value to like the notes in a fragrance. I think that we kind of play them up in a fun way. Like, you know, if something has a lot of animalics, then like, not saying someone's going to spray it on and be like go crawling on all fours around there, but like I think it can kind of shape your like behavior and self-perception. You feel like you're gaining access to the powers of an animal in a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, what would happen if you sprayed yourself in a fragrance made out of semen and blood?
Yeah, who knows what happened to you there? Yeah, anything is possible.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I think that's why I now feel affirmed in my decision to wear Weekend by Burberry, because I feel like I associate myself with fruit. I would like if other people did too. It makes sense for me.
Yeah. No, I guess, yeah, it's like maybe less so than clothes that like fragrance is about signaling, because it's so much, you can't like do it clearly. You cannot signal like this is the vibe I want. This is the income level, class, vibe, art taste, any of that. You can't really show that super well. You can just show like I smell nice. And so I think it's kind of a good fashion pursuit in that it's kind of humble in some ways. Unless you go around telling people how much you spend on fragrances and like, do you like that? Yes, it's expensive.
Yeah. I'm glad I didn't say how much I spent on the Knize Ten fragrance, but I do want to bring up one point about it, which is that the shipping was like $60.
Yeah, well, perfumes are flammable is the crux of it there.
I had to buy that one from Europe because it is a European brand, but I feel like that added to it, but that's the most I've ever paid for shipping.
Yeah, wow. Mm-hmm. No. But that makes it like more interesting. You had to wait longer for it too and all that. It builds up the whole kind of experience.
Yeah. And then on fragrances being totemic, one final thing, I want to bring up a fragrance brand that I found this week that's kind of cool. It's called Gabriel O'Hara, and it's a niche fragrance brand inspired by Chicago streets. So he has 3 different fragrances. They are Jusable Lakeshore Drive, East Oak, and West Kinsey. And those 3 fragrances, you can buy them as a set in order to sample them, which I now know you really should do. Like, you should not buy a full bottle of 100 milliliters or more without smelling something first. But yeah, it's cool. It's like people wearing it, they will associate themselves with the city. They will feel more ingrained in the environment. Like, I get how this is totemic.
No, that's interesting. Like Lakeshore Drive, like, of course, like iconic road. It's got a song named after it. Might as well have a fragrance. And then East Oak, that's where like all the nice shops are and stuff. So I can kind of put together that. West Kinsey, there's a gym over there and it crosses the river and there's an old like printing plant, I believe. That's the most mysterious one. That's the one I'm most interested in. Of like, how's this guy going to pull that off? Yeah.
I think it was made to smell industrial.
Oh, yeah. Oh, clever guy. I like that actually. All right, let's get him on the pod.
Yeah. Well, thank you for doing this episode. I'm glad I got to try so many fragrances. As per usual, sometimes we do an episode on something I don't know about, and then I feel hyped, and I'm like, oh, I need to research that more. Like how after early internet humor, I learned who Chris Chan was, and then watched a 3-hour documentary.
This is hopefully a little better for your spirits than that.
But yeah, now I feel tempted to try more fragrances, but also I don't need to spend money like that.
It's true.
Okay.
All right.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.